Hey everyone, and welcome back to our channel, where we explore the magical stories that have been told for generations. Today, we have a wonderful tale for you, one that comes from a small, quiet village nestled high in the mountains. It's a story about kindness, a little bit of magic, and the surprising consequences of greed. So, get comfortable and let's journey to this mountain village together. In this village, there lived a kind-hearted old woman. She didn't have much to her name, but her spirit was rich with generosity. Her job was to care for the village temple, a sacred place that she treated with the utmost respect. Every single day, she would be there, her only companion a simple old broom made of bamboo twigs. With this broom, she swept the temple's expansive yard, clearing away fallen leaves and dust, and polished its wooden floors until they gleamed. She was known by everyone for her gentle nature and her willingness to help anyone in need, never asking for anything in return. Her life was simple, but it was filled with purpose. One evening, a fierce storm rolled in over the mountains. The sky turned a dark, angry grey, and the wind howled through the trees. Rain lashed down, and thunder echoed across the valley. Most villagers were huddled safely in their homes, but the old woman, ever so diligent, was still at the temple, finishing her work. As she was sweeping the last few leaves from the yard, a brilliant, blinding bolt of lightning struck the ground right in front of her. The flash was so intense she had to shut her eyes. But when she dared to open them again, she saw something truly astonishing. There, in the middle of the yard, her old bamboo broom was standing straight up all by itself. It wasn't just standing, it was surrounded by a soft, gentle glow, pulsing faintly in the stormy darkness. The old woman stared, her heart pounding in her chest. She thought her eyes were playing tricks on her, but then the impossible happened. A quiet, gentle voice came from the broom. "Old mother," it said, "you have taken care of me for so many years. Your constant kindness has given me a spirit, a life. From this day forward, I want to help you with your work." At first, the old woman was terrified. A talking broom. It seemed like something out of a dream, or perhaps a nightmare. She took a step back, her eyes wide with shock, but as she looked at the glowing broom, she saw no malice, only the same gentle light she had seen in the temple's lanterns. A slow, warm smile spread across her face. This was not something to fear. It was a miracle. And just like that, the enchanted broom began to move. With a little hop, it started sweeping the temple floor all on its own. It swished and swirled across the wooden planks, gathering dust and debris with a speed and precision no human could ever match. It was a whirlwind of magical efficiency. Thanks to her new magical helper, the old woman's work became a breeze. The temple had never been so immaculate. Every nook and cranny was spotless, the floors shone like mirrors, and the yard was always perfectly clear of leaves. The enchanted broom did all the heavy lifting, allowing the kind old woman to finally get the rest her weary bones deserved. She would sit peacefully in the temple, watching her broom dance and sweep, her heart filled with gratitude for this unexpected gift. Her days were no longer filled with hard labor, but with quiet joy and companionship. Of course, in a small village, a secret this magical couldn't stay hidden for long. Word began to spread about the temple that cleaned itself and the old woman who seemed to have more time to chat and help her neighbors. People whispered about the enchanted broom, their voices filled with awe and wonder. Most villagers were simply happy for the old woman, believing she deserved such a blessing. However, not everyone had such pure intentions. The story eventually reached the ears of a wealthy, greedy merchant who lived in the village. This merchant cared for only one thing: acquiring more wealth and possessions. When the merchant heard about the magical broom, his eyes lit up with avarice. He didn't see a miracle or a blessing for a kind old woman. He saw an opportunity. A broom that sweeps by itself. He thought, I could make a fortune with it. Or at the very least, I'll never have to pay for a cleaner again. He became obsessed with the idea of owning it. His mind began to spin with devious plans. He decided he had to have that broom, no matter what it took. He wasn't going to ask for it, of course. He was going to take it. So, one moonless night, when the village was asleep and the temple was quiet, the greedy merchant crept through the shadows. He moved silently, his heart pounding with a mix of excitement and fear. He slipped into the temple grounds and found the broom leaning peacefully in its usual corner, looking like any other ordinary broom. With a triumphant smirk, he snatched it up, tucked it under his arm, and scurried back to his large, messy house, convinced he had just secured his greatest treasure yet. Once he was back in his cluttered home, the merchant couldn't wait to test his stolen prize. He threw the broom onto the floor and, in a loud, commanding voice, ordered it. Broom, sweep my house clean. Make it spotless. For a moment, nothing happened. The merchant began to worry he'd been fooled. But then, the broom twitched. It lifted itself off the floor and began to sweep. The merchant laughed, delighted with his success. But his joy was short-lived. The broom didn't just sweep. It swept with a furious, chaotic energy. It swirled around the room like a tornado, knocking over expensive vases and sending them crashing to the floor. It swept across his dining table, sending plates and glasses flying. Dust, which had been gathering for months, rose into the air, creating a thick, choking cloud. The merchant started to panic. "Stop. That's enough. Stop," he screamed, waving his hands frantically. But the broom paid him no mind. In fact, his desperate shouts only seemed to make it sweep harder and faster. It was as if the broom was punishing him for his greed, unleashing a storm of chaos in his home. The enchanted broom was relentless. It swept and swept with a power that seemed to grow with every passing second. The merchant's house was thrown into complete disarray. Furniture was toppled, windows were shattered by flying objects, and the cloud of dust grew so thick he could barely see or breathe. The entire house groaned and creaked under the magical assault. Finally, with a tremendous crash, the walls gave way and the roof collapsed. The merchant's grand house was reduced to nothing more than a giant, messy pile of rubble and dirt. The next morning, as the sun rose, the villagers were awakened by an incredible sight. The greedy merchant's house was gone. In its place was a huge mound of dirt and splintered wood. And sitting right in the middle of the mess, covered from head to toe in dust and grime, was the merchant himself. He looked defeated, dazed, and utterly humbled. He had lost everything, all because of his insatiable greed. And what about the enchanted broom? It was gone. It had already made its way back to the temple. When the old woman arrived for her morning prayers, she found it leaning quietly in its corner, as if nothing had happened. It looked just like a simple old bamboo broom. From that day forward, a powerful lesson was learned in the village. No one ever again dared to steal or greedily take what didn't belong to them. The enchanted broom remained with the old woman, living a quiet existence. It only ever came to life to help her, its magic reserved for someone with a truly kind and deserving heart. And so, the people in the village would often share this story, ending it with the wise words, "Kindness brings blessings, but greed brings ruin." What a powerful story, right? It really makes you think about how our intentions shape our world. Thank you so much for joining me for this tale today. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss our next story. Until next time, stay kind and stay curious.